So, hi, my name is Freddy. I'm the founder and CEO of Upnup and Space.io, and yeah, this is what I'm doing.
I'm John, and I'm partner at Upnup, taking mainly care of sales and the whole sales process.
The graphic designer, 3D graphic designer.
My name is Ross, and I consider myself a full stack developer at Upnup.
What technologies are used in your projects?
What we are using is 3D tools, different conceptual tools, of course, and tech stack is 3GS, JavaScript, and many others, but I think Ross will tell more about that.
Depends on which project we do. We might not use everything in every single project, but for me, the main power of each project is JavaScript and 3GS.
What is your opinion on AR, VR, MR and their development?
I summer all of these together in the word of XR because I think this field is really new. We see it already when, for example, our server will track VR devices. They don't track them as VR devices, they track it as mobile. And I think this already showing where we are right now. We are really in the beginning of an interesting journey and experience. And yeah, this is what we are doing as well a lot, and most important for WebXR.
Why did you choose WebXR?
WebXR was for us really fascinating in the early stages already. When it went on the market, it was the first protocol where we have seen the chances to make immersive experiences on devices like that or on Oculus Quest 2 to give a new perspective on product, on scenes, on architectures, and the most important, accessible for everyone, just by one click. And that's why we decided to make progressive web development in this field of WebXR, and that everyone can enjoy it on all devices. What I mean with that, on desktop, on mobile, and of course on VR devices as well.
What use cases do you see?
It's really distributed in all industries because it's not. Maybe the gaming industry is the most interesting one, but we are not a game studio. We are more really a consumer studio which are building galleries and architectures or now in really interesting shopping experiences in this three-dimensional world. And from this perspective, we have from medicine to also health tech to fintech even. And most interesting is of course the art tech area where art galleries have immersive experience to show, and where we go now is really to also make commerce in 3D.
Where do you see XR in the future?
Everywhere. It's going to be everywhere. I always compare it like with the internet, with the web. And that's why we also build on web, obviously. When we talk about Web3 or Metaverse, I always compare it to a sinus curve, right? We started with Web 1 in the 90s, where the internet was really in the consumer way seen as an encyclopedia. Sites were distributed together and finding them. And I think this is already the good bridge to Web 2, where we got from the decentralization to the centralized part. The Silicon Valley keyword is maybe important here. Facebook, social media coming up. So the internet involved to the next stage of interaction and communication. And now with blockchain technology, it's getting really interesting. And from VR perspective in the three-dimensional way, what is for us really simple as the next step, because when we're talking about information, then transition to two-dimensional information pages to the next stage of three-dimensional webs, rooms, let's call it like that, or with the buzzword Metaverse.
What is the Metaverse? And how would you describe Metaverse to a stranger?
Good question. The definition for me for Metaverse is, it's like a universe, that's why also Metaverse. It's a sub-universe and virtual universe, let's call it like that, distributed in so many galaxies, and inside this galaxy in planets, on these planets in areas, okay? We can really go from a big point of view into smaller pieces, and it's so wide and big, like the web is already. Metaverse is an environment, spatial web, where you can get immersed in a three-dimensional way, being decentralized and an independently working ecosystem where people can work, where people can create things and be living as well beside real life in this virtual life.
What kind of projects are you currently working on?
On 3D models for vascular surgery, vascular systems in general, for students of them and also for clients. And the other side we have fashion projects, merchandise projects, and also clients in the art gallery section. And of course the upcoming or already there existing NFT market is in a point where we have clients.
How does the working phases look like?
First of all, the sales team has to make a requirement sheet. So think about really like traditional companies also work. Their workflows are not really totally different. Of course, the tools are different, but it really starts with requirements. Then when we have the requirements, we make a statement of work, which we also show them to the customer. We will get approved for that. And when we have this, we will start with conceptual work, making mood boards, making drafts and things, which we can show again. We will also work on lean management here. We are always really closely communicating to the customer that we never can make something wrong because we integrate him also in our workflows. Of course, not on a daily basis, but on a weekly or 2 weeks cycles, definitely. Next time we'll be bringing the designs and render to baking, from baking already in a prototype, in a web version, which we can look at with the clients again. And when we see here some issues or improvements we can do from the experience side or from the tech point perspective, we will obviously do this as well and then push it to the live stage. Important also for them is to have renders and that they can also use it in a marketing way. And as we said, the whole lean or agile working process gives him or her a really good input to the whole idea also behind the scenes, so for marketing, attraction things. And that's why we work on the desires again here, what he wants, and then we can just produce it for them.
How do you start your projects?
Always ask him what is the desire you have, what is the vision you have. And then we start to get a feeling together what it can be. I want to make the visions come true in a virtual way for them. So I think it's really interesting when we got in this conversation I mentioned before, when we have these desires, making with values of the company together, and then on the rational also what is the business goal behind. Together with these 3 points, the concept can really work fast enough out because they have dreams. And we just have to catch these dreams and understand them. And if we have done this step, it's for us really easy to bring this on paper and then again in a 3D, which maybe or should reflect the vision they have.
What are the biggest challenges in the whole process?
To evaluate the perfect way of vision and possibilities. And because we want to make their dreams come true in a virtual way, it makes it also for us challenging, and this is more also the interesting part as well. Because, best example, some materials are just not available right now in the WebXR world, also accessible on all devices, that it works on all devices really well. Maybe, for example, glass material is really nice in desktop or mobile, but on VR it's awful. Or water needs such a high computer power, and then when he wants to have a water environment, for example, you also have always to give our inputs what is possible, what are the edges of the right now hardware and software possibilities.
What are your skills in the projects?
My biggest skills are human interaction and communication. As I'm a very empathic person, I can feel into our clients and try to define their needs as good as possible, because I believe it's sometimes also hard for people that are not in this industry, especially because it's such a new industry, you have to oftentimes find out some things for them because they can't find it out themselves, and I think that's what I'm really good at.
Creative work is really needed here. What I said in the beginning, analytic mindset and creative mindset.
We focus on the 3GS, so the coding itself, coding the environment, coding with shaders, coding a character movement, whatever is necessary to have mechanics.
To study 3D stuff, we need to read many books of art, and I think also you have to watch a lot of video about this. You need to love this this job in all the forms.
Because I'm full stack, I work on the entire development stack, so that includes backend technologies such as Node.js and data storage technologies such as MongoDB, Postgres, SQL, and from front end it'll be, like I've mentioned, it'll be React, JavaScript and 3GS.
How did you learn these skills?
It was just really self-taught in the end. I came from a background where it started in some more data visualization technologies, so it was more like Java and so on. But they're easily taught, but in terms of learning 3GS and these technologies, there's nothing really out there in terms of teaching material. You really have to dive in yourself and start really learning by actually doing.
Obviously self-taught, because you can't go to school for 3GS, unfortunately. But yeah, I got really interested in it and just started Googling, took the 3GS Journey course by Bruno Simon, and yeah, never stopped learning after that.
Did all the stuff by myself. Sometimes on YouTube, sometimes with the books.
It's a sector that there is no education, or you can't do any studies in this field right now. It's so important to have learning by doing. I love to interact with people, and started out with sales. Really started at the bottom, selling small products, and I realized, hey, I need something that I can stand behind. And that's where I started with Freddy Upnup and got into it more and more while learning it.
Which part of the development are you responsible for?
Really at the beginning of acquiring customers and looking for customers that are in need of the services and technologies that we have. Also on the internet and looking in LinkedIn, also going to events to show what we have and to show what we do. This is one of my main things.
In the beginning, I have to make some sketch. You can understand what is the workflow. After, I have to move all the sketch on Photoshop. Yeah, you have to make the mood board. This way it's more easy how to follow the right workflow. And yeah, when we are all agree with the mood board, I have to do the first examples on Blender, and after that I have to find some texture for the object, for the architecture, and obviously I need to ask for the team if it's all okay or not.
Albert also knows 3GS really well, and so do I, so then both of us will work together on the 3GS part. And then once that's sort of passed on again, we're at the more front-end elements such as landing pages, back-end requests and deployments and so on.
What do you enjoy most about your work?
Also not only interacting with humans, but also shaping this new world and not following anyone's path.
Have the creative freedom. Like also we brainstorm a lot with Freddy, with Ross, with Ronnie about what we can implement, what we can do better. And the thing I like the most is that they just let me be. I just give them ideas. They say, yes, it's good, no, it's not good, and then I can just implement them.
I love the challenge.
One of these things that I can actually show people what the difficulties of a programming, so sometimes it's pretty hard to explain what you do. So when it's visual and tactile like this, yeah, people can really think, wow, well, that's really cool.
What are the biggest challenges during the project?
It's accessibility on like all devices.
Making everything look good, plus there aren't a lot of examples. So what I mean by that is, if you want to add a custom feature, you can't just Google it, how do I add this? So you really need to think analytically, and you need to implement almost everything from scratch.
To find the right way to how to reduce the texture from 200 to 5 mega.
What have you learned while working at Upnup?
This is a very great question. So think outside the box, and like I said before, a really important thing is that you can't just follow a script, and you don't always have the same things to do and to follow up on. You look individually on every client and to see how you can develop a project or bring a product to life individually for them.
That experience should be playable or viewable on all devices. That's something I really learned, and it's really important.
What advice would you give to people starting VR development?
Books, poems, you can learn more about this world. You have to find by yourself. And if you love this, you can do whatever you want.
In the beginning, you do your research maybe for a bit longer than you would think you would.
If you want to be a creative developer, specifically in 3JS, I would definitely recommend getting the 3JS Journey course by Bruno Simon, because it's a really good starting point, and he walks you through even what's possible with 3JS. Because like I said, there aren't a lot of examples, so you don't really know what you can do. And he really walks you through it, so you know what you can do. He gives you a basis, and after that you just need to keep Googling, keep learning, keep reading documentation to get better.
You need to really pick one thing and try to master it. And then after that, again, like I mentioned with 3JS, you can't stop learning. You have to keep going in this sort of industry.
And last but not least, what is your mission with Upnup?
That we get independently from other markets and can produce new platforms, new applications here from Europe in the heart of innovation. And I think to bring this engineering and also creativity mindset here in Europe back, this is one of the biggest goals, to be also then maybe the number one studio in this field. And this is what we have as a business goal. On the technical goal, we want to improve the experiences to make the best materials out there you can experience and have an eye on. And this is, from marketing side, I think what we also want to do in the next few months, weeks and years.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.